3 hours later, the Vorthik fleet hung in space like a collection of cosmic party decorations. Their ships were physically undamaged but completely humiliated. The gravity well had been carefully calibrated to bring them together without causing collisions, but their formations were totally disrupted. Some ships were upside down compared to others, several were spinning slowly, and one unfortunate vessel had somehow ended up wedged between two larger ships like a cork in a bottle captain. Ji-hoon Kim sat in his command chair sipping what appeared to be coffee from a mug that read, "Galaxy's okayest captain." His crew was relaxed and cheerful, occasionally chuckling at the tactical display fleet. "Commander Zephyx," Ji-hoon said pleasantly, "are you ready to discuss terms?" The alien's voice was barely recognizable. 3 hours of helplessly floating in space while decorated like a children's toy had broken something fundamental in the proud warrior's mind. "What are your terms?" Zephyx asked. "Weakly, they are very reasonable," Ji-hoon assured him. "First, you are going to send a message to every species in the galaxy. You are going to tell them that the Vorthik Empire is officially changing its policy regarding territorial expansion changing. How you are going to stop conquering people," Ji-hoon said simply. "From now on, when you encounter a new species, you are going to try something revolutionary, asking. Nuz Lead Diplomacy Communications Officer Minji Park explained helpfully. "It is this crazy human idea where you try to get what you want by talking instead of shooting. But we are warriors," War Commander Thrax protested. "We do not know how to ask nicely." "That is okay," Ji-hoon said. "We will teach you. Consider it a cultural exchange program. We will send some of our diplomats to work with your people, and you can send some of your people to work with ours." "You want to exchange personnel?" Zephyx asked suspiciously. "Why not?" Ji-hoon shrugged. "We think your people might enjoy some of our recreational activities. We have this thing called comedy that you might find interesting. And in return, maybe you can teach us about your technology, the non-weaponized parts, of course." Engineer Do-yeon Lee looked up from his station. "Captain, I have been thinking about their thermal management problems. A few minor modifications to their cooling systems could increase their efficiency by about 40%. Ji-hoon said to the alien commander's cooperation. "It is amazing what you can accomplish when you are not trying to kill each other." Navigator Soyeon Nam cleared her throat. "Captain, we are receiving incoming transmissions from 17 different species. Apparently word is spreading about what happened here. What are they saying?" Ji-hoon asked. "Mostly variations on thank you," Soyeon replied. "It seems the Vorthek Empire has been a problem for a lot of people. Oh, and 3 different species want to establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity." "Excellent," Ji-hoon said. "Minji send replies to all of them. Tell them we would be happy to talk. But first let us finish up." Here he turned back to the communication channel. "Fleet Commander Zephyx, there is one more thing we need to discuss." "What now?" the alien asked, sounding exhausted. "Your ships," Ji-hoon said. "The nanobots will dissolve harmlessly in about 6 months, so your hulls will go back to normal. But in the meantime, you are going to be flying around the galaxy looking like this. We think it is important that everyone sees you this way." "Well, because," Ji-hoon explained, "every time someone sees a Vorthek ship decorated with a rubber duck, they are going to remember that someone stood up to you and won. They are going to remember that bullies can be beaten, and more importantly, they are going to remember that humans did it without firing a single shot." Weapons Officer Hyunwoo Choi made a small sound of protest. "Okay," Ji-hoon corrected. "Without firing a single shot at you. The paint bombs do not count. You have humiliated us," Zephyx said quietly. "Yes," Ji-hoon agreed, "we have, but we did not do it to be cruel. We did it to teach you something important. Do you know what the most dangerous predator on Earth is? Assume it is human." "Snope," Ji-hoon said cheerfully. "It is the mosquito, tiny little thing, barely noticeable, but it kills more humans than any other creature on the planet." "Want to know why?" "Why, because it does not try to be scary. It does not threaten or intimidate. It just does what it needs to do and gets out the most dangerous predators are the ones you never see coming." The communication channel was quiet for a long moment. "So what happens now?" Thrax asked finally. "Now," Ji-hoon said, "you go home, you tell your people what happened here, you think about what you have learned, and in 6 months, when your ships look normal again, you decide what kind of species you want to be, and if we choose to remain as we were." Jean's smile was warm, but somehow also terrifying. "Then you will discover that this was just us being nice, and You really do not want to see what happens when humans stop being nice. The human ship began to move away from the Vorthak fleet, but Ji-hoon's voice continued over the Kumo and Fleet Commander 1. Last thing, we are going to be monitoring your activities for the next few years, not to threaten you, just to make sure you are adjusting well to your new perspective. Think of us as concerned friends, sure, Ji-hoon said. After all, we have shared a meaningful experience together. That is what friendship is all about. As the human ship disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the Vorthak fleet floating in space like a collection of cosmic bath toys, Fleet Commander Zephyx made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. War Commander Thrax, he said quietly, "Yes, sir, when we return to the homeworld, I want you to begin research into this concept the humans mentioned." What did they call it? Diplomacy, sir? Yes, diplomacy. And what was the other thing? The recreational activity comedy, sir? Comedy. Zephyx repeated thoughtfully, "Perhaps it is time the Vorthak Empire learned how to laugh." 6 months later, the first Vorthak Comedy Club opened on their homeworld. The most popular act was a routine about a mighty warrior who went to fight one small ship and came home decorated with a rubber duck. The audience loved it. Humans, it turned out, had been right about something else too. Laughter really was the best medicine, and across the galaxy word spread about the species that had defeated the mighty Vorthak Empire, not with superior weapons or overwhelming force, but with creativity, imagination, and a sense of humor. The humans had not just won a battle, they had changed the rules of the game forever from that day forward when species encountered bullies and tyrants. They remembered the story of Captain Ji-hoon Kim and his crew. They remembered that sometimes the best way to defeat evil is not to destroy it, but to make it look so ridiculous that no one can take it seriously anymore. The galaxy had learned something important that day. The most dangerous predators are not always the ones with the biggest teeth. Sometimes they are the ones who know how to laugh. The Vorthak fleet was in complete chaos. Their ships, once the terror of the galaxy, now looked like a collection of children's toys floating in space. The main ship had the image of a rubber duck. Another ship was decorated with what appeared to be a cartoon cat, and a third displayed the words "Space Truck" in glittering letters. Fleet Commander Zephyx was beyond anger. He had moved into a state of mind that his species had no word for, but humans would have recognized as having a complete break down. All ships, ignore the cosmetic damage. He commanded, "Focus fire on the human ship. They cannot possibly avoid us forever." Actually, Captain Ji-hoon Kim's voice came over the com. "We do not need to avoid you forever. We just need to avoid you for about 3 more minutes. 3 minutes until what?" Zephyx demanded. "Until your weapons finish overheating." Ji-hoon replied cheerfully, "See, while you were busy trying to shoot us, we were busy doing math. Your plasma cannons are incredibly powerful, but they have a fundamental design flaw. They build up heat faster than they can get rid of it." As if summoned by his words, alarm sounds began ringing throughout the Vorthak fleet. One by one, their weapon systems began shutting down automatically to prevent catastrophic overheating. "Impossible!" War Commander Thrax shouted. "Our weapons are the most advanced in the galaxy." "Oh, they are advanced," Engineer Do-Yun Lee agreed, "but they are also predictable. We have been analyzing your technology for the past hour, and we found something interesting. Your entire fleet uses the same basic design, which means they all have the same weaknesses." "What are you implying?" Zephyx asked, though his voice had lost much of its confidence. "We are implying," Ji-hoon said, "that you brought 52 identical ships to fight one ship that was specifically designed to adapt to whatever it encountered. From a strategic standpoint, you have just made the classic military mistake of fighting the last war navigator, Soyen." Nam looked up from her console. "Captain, the gravitational anomaly is stable. We are ready to proceed with the final phase." "Excellent. Minji, open a channel to the entire fleet." "Channel open, sir." "Attention, Vorthak fleet," Ji-hoon announced. "You are now experiencing what we humans call checkmate. Your weapons are offline, your ships are defenseless, and you are about to learn why humans are considered the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. You have no weapons capable of penetrating our shields." Zephyx protested. "You are absolutely right," Ji-hoon agreed. "We do not have any weapons capable of penetrating your shields, but we do not need to penetrate them. We just need to move them." "What does that mean?" "It means," Ji-hoon said with a grin that was somehow audible in his voice, "that we are about to demonstrate the human concept of thinking outside the box. Soyan, if you would be so kind. The navigator's fingers danced across her controls, and suddenly the space around the Vorthak fleet began to shift. The gravitational anomaly generator, which had been quietly building power for the past hour, reached critical mass. What is happening? Multiple Vorthak captains asked at the same time. We are creating a localized gravity well, Soyan explained matter-of-factly. Think of it as a really big magnet is going to pull all of your ships together into one convenient location. Our engines can compensate for gravitational effects, Zephyx said, but his voice lacked conviction. Not when they are all pointed in the same direction, Ji-hoon replied. See, here is the thing about gravity wells. They do not just pull things down. They pull things toward the center, and when you have 52 ships all being pulled toward the same point, the Vorthak fleet began to move. Involuntarily, their ships drifting toward each other despite their engines' efforts to maintain position. You are going to create a collision. Thrax realized with horror. Oh no, Ji-hoon said with mock concern. That would be terrible. I suppose you will have to do something to prevent it. What do you want? Zephyx asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Well, Ji-hoon said thoughtfully, we could discuss terms. But first I think you need to understand something important about humans. We do not just fight to win, we fight to make sure the fight was worth having. The human ship moved gracefully through the increasingly chaotic Vorthak formation, somehow avoiding the gravitational effects that were pulling the larger ships together. How are you immune to your own gravity? Well, Zephyx demanded. We are not immune, Ji-hoon explained. We are just better at math. We calculated the exact trajectory needed to use your own gravity. Well, to accelerate us right now, we are essentially surfing on the gravitational waves we created. Weapons Officer Hyung-woo Choi was laughing openly now. Captain, you should see their formation. It looks like they are trying to form a conga line, Ji-hoon asked with delight. That is perfect, absolutely perfect, Minji record. This for posterity. This is going to be the best recruitment video the human fleet has ever had. The Vorthak ships were now helplessly drifting into increasingly ridiculous formations. Some ships were upside down compared to others. Several were spinning slowly, and one unfortunate vessel had somehow ended up wedged between two larger ships like a cork in a bottle. Fleet Commander Zephyx watched in horror as his mighty armada was reduced to a cosmic comedy show. His ships looked like brightly colored bath toys, and they were floating around like debris in a cosmic washing machine. Human captain, he said weakly, what are your terms? Oh, they are very reasonable. Ji-hoon assured him. First, you are going to send a message to every species in the galaxy. You are going to tell them that the Vorthak Empire is officially changing its policy regarding territorial expansion. Changing it. How you are going to stop conquering people, Ji-hoon said simply. From now on, when you encounter a new species, you are going to try something revolutionary. Asking nervously, the most powerful fleet in the galaxy had been defeated not by superior firepower, but by imagination, creativity, and a twisted sense of humor, and they were about to learn that this was just the beginning. The reinforcements arrived exactly when they said they would. Their massive ships appeared out of hyperspace in perfect formation. War Commander Thrax felt his confidence coming back as he watched the fleet assemble 52 ships of the line, each one capable of destroying planets. Surely, even these crazy humans could not stand against such overwhelming power. This is Fleet Commander Zephyx, came a voice over the communication channels. War Commander Thrax, report your status. Fleet Commander, we have found a single human ship that refuses to surrender. They have been using unusual tactics, but now that you are here, one ship. Zephyx's voice carried a note of disbelief. You called for reinforcements to deal with one ship on the human ship. Captain Ji-hoon Kim was listening to the conversation with obvious amusement. His crew had spent the last 18 minutes making preparations, and now they were ready for the main event. Minji, patch me through to the entire Vorthak fleet, Ji-hoon said. Channel open, sir. Hello, everyone. Ji-hoon's voice rang out across 52 warships. Welcome to what we humans like to call the party. I am Captain Ji-hoon Kim, and I will be your host for this evening's entertainment. Fleet Commander Zephyx's voice cut through the channel. Human captain, you are surrounded and outnumbered. Surrender immediately or face complete destruction. Complete destruction, Ji-hoon mused. That is a big phrase. Let me ask you something, Fleet Commander. Have you ever heard of the Battle of Thermopylae? I have no interest in your primitive historical stories. Oh, but you should, Ji-hoon said cheerfully. See, it was a battle where 300 warriors held off an army of thousands. Everyone knew they were going to lose, but they fought. Anyway, want to know why? Enlighten me, Zephix replied dryly, because sometimes it is not about winning. Sometimes it is about making sure the other guy knows he was in a fight. Engineer Do-Yun Lee looked up from his station. Captain, all systems are ready. The gravitational anomaly generator is online, and we have seeded the area with our little surprises. Excellent. Soyan, are we in position, navigator? Soyan Nam nodded. Right where we need to be. Sir Jahan turned back to the communication channel. Fleet Commander Zephix, I want you to remember this moment. You brought 52 ships to fight one. When this is over, I want you to think about what that says about you. Enough talk, Zephix snarled. All ships open fire. The space around the human ship erupted. In plasma fire, 52 ships fired at the same time, their combined firepower enough to vaporize a small moon. The beams came together on the exact spot where the human ship had been and hit nothing. What? Zephix demanded. Where did they go? Right here, came Ji-hoon's voice, and suddenly the human ship was in the middle of the Vorthak formation, having somehow appeared between two of their largest battleships. Impossible. Thrax screamed. No ship can move that fast. You are right, Ji-hoon agreed. No ship can, but space can. See, we have been experimenting with localized gravitational fields. Basically, we convinced space itself to fold up and put us where we wanted to. Beatty, human ship released a cloud of what looked like metallic dust, but as it spread throughout the Vorthak formation, it began to stick to their hulls. What is this substance? One of the Vorthak captains demanded. Nabots. Do-Yun Lee replied cheerfully. Self-replicating programmable matter. They are currently spreading across all your ships, mapping your hull configurations and preparing for Phase 2. Phase 2 of what? The embarrassment, Ji-hoon said simply. Suddenly every Vorthak ship in the fleet began to experience the same problem. Their hulls were changing color. Bright, ridiculous colors spread across the black metal like a virus. Pink, purple, lime green, and electric blue patterns began forming words and images across the ship's surfaces. What have you done? Zephix roared. We have redecorated, Ji-hoon replied. The nanobots are programmed to rearrange your hull plating into amusing patterns. Look at your main ship, Fleet Commander. I think you will find it particularly entertaining. Zephix looked at his tactical display and made a sound that no Vorthak had ever made before. A whimper. His ship's hull now displayed a perfect image of a small earth creature called a rubber duck, complete with the words "bath time" written in flowing script. But do not worry, Ji-hoon continued. The nanobots are completely harmless. They will not damage your ships at all. They will just make sure that everyone who sees you for the next 50 years will remember this moment. Weapons Officer Hyunwoo Choi was practically bouncing in his seat. Captain, their weapons are starting to overheat. They are going to have to shut down for cooling soon. Beautiful timing, Ji-hoon said. Gentlemen, ladies, prepare for the finale. The Vorthak fleet was now a collection of brightly colored ships, floating in space, looking more like children's toys than instruments of war. Some ships had cartoon animals painted on them, others had silly messages or embarrassing pictures. The mighty terror of the galaxy had been turned into a cosmic joke, and the humans were not done yet. Fleet Commander Zephix was staring at his screens in horror. His entire fleet looked ridiculous, and their weapons were overheating from trying to hit one small ship that seemed to dance through space like it was playing a game. Human captain, he said, his voice shaking. What do you want? What do we want? Ji-hoon replied. We want you to understand something very important. We want you to know that bullying stops here. We want you to remember that humans do not just fight back. We fight back with style. The gravitational anomaly generator hummed to life, and space itself began to bend around the Vorthak fleet. And we want you to learn, Ji-hoon continued, that the most dangerous thing in the universe is not the biggest gun or the strongest ship. It is imagination. The trap was closing, and there was nothing the Vorthak could do to stop it. The Vorthak fleet was falling apart. 3 of their ships had accidentally shot each other while trying to hit the human ship that moved like a dancing ghost. The main ship still had bright pink paint on it, and every ship was playing the same annoying Earth song over and over again. War Commander Thrax had told his communication officer to shut down all the channels, but somehow the humans kept finding ways to talk directly to his bridge. This is Captain Kim again, came the happy voice that was quickly becoming the worst sound Thrax had ever heard. Just wanted to check in and see how you are doing. You guys seem a little stressed, sir. Sub-Commander Vrex came over carefully. Maybe we should think about leaving. The humans are using some kind of advanced mind warfare that we do not understand. Retreat. Thrax's mouth parts clicked angrily from one small ship. We are the terror of the galaxy. Actually, Jihun's voice interrupted. I wanted to talk to you about that whole terror of the galaxy thing. We have been doing some research and we found something interesting. The main screen turned on, showing Captain Jihun Kim sitting casually in his command chair with his feet up. Behind him, his crew was working with the relaxed efficiency of people who were truly having fun. We talked to some of the species you have conquered. Jihun continued, making quote marks with his fingers. Turns out most of them did not really fight back, they just gave up, which got us thinking, what happens when you run into a species that does not know how to give up? Engineer Do-Yun Lee looked up from his station. Captain, I have finished studying their weapon systems. Want to know something funny? Always, Jihun replied. Their plasma cannons are incredibly powerful, but they have a heat buildup problem. If they fire more than 6 shots quickly, they have to cool down for 3 minutes. Also, their targeting systems completely depend on their main computer, which means if you can disrupt that, the whole fleet goes blind. Jihun finished. Thanks, Do-Yun. That is exactly the kind of thing I was hoping to hear. War Commander Thrax felt something he had not experienced in centuries. Fear. You cannot possibly have analyzed our technology so quickly. Why not? Jihun asked. We have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We have gotten pretty good at figuring out how to break things. Plus, we have a saying, know your enemy. We take that pretty seriously. Communications Officer Minji Park cleared her throat. Captain, I have been listening to their internal communications. They have been calling for help. How much help? Jihun asked. About 40 more ships, sir. The bridge became silent. Even the background music seemed to pause. 52 Vorthic warships against one human exploration vessel was not a battle. It was a massacre waiting to happen. Then Jihun started laughing. Oh, this is perfect, he said, wiping tears from his eyes. Absolutely perfect. Guys, do you know what this means? His crew looked at him with expressions ranging from confusion to worry. It means, Jihun continued, that we are about to become the most famous humans in the galaxy. Because we are not just fighting 12 ships anymore, we are fighting 52, and when we win, everyone is going to want to know how we did. It's our weapons officer Hyunwoo Choi said carefully. Are you sure we can win? Jihun's smile was brilliant. Hyunwoo, my friend, we are humans. We once fought a war against birds and lost. We invented a sport where we chase a ball around a field for 90 minutes and sometimes nobody scores. We voluntarily eat plants that evolved to be too spicy for us to eat, and we do it because we think it is fun. He stood up, and something about the way he moved made the alien commander step back from his own screen. Of course we can win, Jihun said softly. We are not the biggest or the strongest or the fastest, but we are the species that looked at the impossible and said, hold my beer and watch this. As navigator Soy Nam looked up from her console. Captain, I have been running calculations. If we can get the reinforcements to arrive while their main fleet is still dealing with the heat buildup problem, they will all be sitting ducks. Jihun finished. Beautiful. How long do we have? 10 minutes until the reinforcements arrive. Sir, perfect. That gives us just enough time to explain to our new friends exactly what they have gotten themselves into. Jihun turned back to the screen where War Commander Thrax was watching with growing alarm. See, Thrax, here is the thing about humans, Jihun said in a friendly voice. We do not just fight to win. We fight to make a point, and the point we are about to make is that bullies do not get to threaten people anymore. Not on our watch. The aliens' 4 eyes blinked one after another. You are planning to fight all 52 ships? Planning to. Jihun laughed. Thrax, we are going to turn this into the most embarrassing defeat in Vorthak history, and then we are going to make sure everyone in the galaxy knows about it. That is impossible. You keep using that word, Jihun said with a grin. I do not think it means what you think it means. The human crew was moving with purpose now. Each person knew their job and they were preparing for something that had never been tried before. They were going to fight an entire fleet with one ship, and they were going to win, not because they had better weapons or stronger shields, but because they had something the Vorthak did not have. They had imagination. Captain Do-Yun Lee called out. All systems are ready. The gravitational anomaly generator is online, and we have seeded the area with our surprises. Excellent, Jihun replied. Are we in position right where we need to be? Sir Soyen confirmed. The reinforcements were coming, and the trap was almost ready. The humans were about to teach the galaxy a lesson that would be remembered for generations. They We're about to prove that the most dangerous predator is not the one with the biggest teeth or the strongest claws, it is the one that can think, and humans were very, very good at thinking. Captain Ji-hoon Kim stood at the big window of his spaceship looking at the huge alien ship coming toward them. The alien ship was massive and black with red lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. It looked scary, like something from a nightmare, but Ji-hoon could not stop himself from smiling a little. The alien ship was so big that it could easily crush their small exploration ship called Serenity's Edge. Ji-hoon's crew was nervous and scared, but he felt something different. He felt curious and maybe a little excited. Minji Park, who worked the communication system, looked up from her station. Her face was pale and her hands were shaking. She pressed a button and spoke to the captain. "Sir, they are trying to talk to us. The message they sent is not nice. They call themselves the Vorthic Empire, and they want us to give up right now." Jihan scratched his chin and thought about this. The Vorthek ship had weapons all over it, big scary weapons that could turn their little ship into space dust. Any smart species would run away or surrender immediately, but humans were not known for being smart in that way. "Let me talk to them," Ji-hoon said. "Open the channel so we can see what they want." The main screen lit up and showed a creature that looked like a giant bug mixed with a monster. It had 4 glowing eyes and sharp mouth parts that clicked when it talked. It spoke in perfect English, but its voice sounded like a machine. "Pathetic humans," the creature said. "I am War Commander Thrax of the Vorthek Empire. Your species has come too far from your weak little planet. Give up now, and we will kill you. Quickly fight us, and we will make you suffer in ways that will be remembered." Across the galaxy, everyone on the bridge became very quiet. Even the humming sounds from the ship seemed to get quieter. Ji-hoon looked around at his crew and saw their scared faces and white knuckles. Then he looked back at the screen, and his smile got bigger. "Well, that is quite a way to say hello," Ji-hoon said in a cheerful voice. "I am Captain Ji-hoon Kim. Nice to meet you, Thrax. I like what you did with your ship. Very scary looking, but I have to ask, do you always start conversations by threatening to kill people? Because where I come from, that is considered very rude." The alien stopped clicking its mouth parts. Its 4 eyes seemed to blink in confusion. "You dare to make fun of the mighty Vorthek Empire?" "Oh, I am not making fun," Ji-hoon said, keeping his voice friendly. "I am just curious about how you do things. When humans meet someone new, we usually start with hello or how are you doing. We save the death threats for special times." Do-hyun Lee, who was the ship's engineer, could not help but laugh a little. Even Hyun-woo Choi, who controlled the weapons, was trying not to smile. War Commander Thrax's eyes got narrow. "You think this is funny? We have conquered 17 star systems. We have made slaves of entire species. We are the terror of empty space. That is impressive." Ji-hoon nodded seriously. 17 systems, you said. We humans have only explored about 12 so far. But to be fair, we have only been doing this space travel thing for about 60 years. We are still learning how to do it. The alien leaned forward, and its voice became what it thought was a scary whisper. "You will learn to fear us, human. We are predators. We hunt, we kill, we eat the fear of our enemies." Jahan's face did not change, but something shifted in his eyes, something that made his crew suddenly remember why humans had fought their way to the top of Earth's food chain, despite being smaller and weaker than many other animals. "Predators," Ji-hoon said softly. "That is funny. See, we are predators too. But we learned something interesting about being predators. Want to know what that is?" The alien's mouth parts clicked uncertainly. "We learned that the best predators do not announce themselves. They do not make threats. They do not waste time trying to scare people." Ji-hoon's smile never went away, but it somehow became much less pleasant. "The best predators just Xoyan." Num, who was the navigator, had been quietly working at her station during the whole conversation. Now she looked up with a grin that would have made a shark proud. "Captain," she said sweetly, "I have been scanning their ship while they were talking. Want to know something interesting? Their weapons are impressive, but their shield generators are in a really bad spot right between their engine exhausts. One good shot to that area," and she made a little explosion gesture with her hands. War Commander Thrax's eyes got wide. "Impossible. Our technology is far better than your primitive O." "It probably is," Ji-hoon interrupted, "but see, that is the thing about humans. We do not win by being better. We win by being creative." The alien was starting to look less confident. "You would not dare attack us. You are outnumbered, outgunned." "Outgunned, sure," Ji-hoon agreed. "But you know what we have been outgunned before it is kind of our thing, the alien commander was getting more nervous. What do you mean? Well, Ji-hoon said, leaning back in his chair, let me tell you a story about humans. On our planet, we were not the biggest or strongest or fastest. We were just smart and stubborn. There were animals that could run faster than us, animals that were stronger than us, animals with bigger teeth and claws. But we had something they did not have. What was that? Thrax asked, even though he seemed like he did not want to know. We had the ability to work together, and we never ever gave up, Ji-hoon said. We would hunt animals that were 10 times our size. We would chase them for days until they got tired. Then we would kill them and eat them. We called it persistence hunting. The aliens' mouth parts were clicking faster now, but that is not the best part, Ji-hoon continued. The best part is that we did not stop there. We looked at the biggest, meanest animals on our planet, and we said, you know what, I bet we could make those animals work for us. So we turned wolves into dogs. We turned wild horses into riding horses. We turned angry bulls into farm animals. How? Is that possible? Because Ji-hoon said, and his voice got very quiet, we are not just predators. We are the kind of predators that turn other predators into pets. The bridge was completely silent now. Even the background noise seemed to have stopped. And now Ji-hoon said, standing up from his chair, you have made a very big mistake. You threatened us. You tried to scare us, but the thing about humans is that we do not scare easily, and when someone threatens us, we do not run away. We do not give up. We get creative. What are you going to do? The alien asked, and for the first time his voice sounded scared. We are going to teach you why humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy, Ji-hoon said with a smile that did not reach his eyes. We are going to show you what happens when you threaten something we care about. The alien was backing away from his screen now. But you are just one small ship. Yes, Ji-hoon agreed. We are just one small ship, but you know what? One small ship is all it takes when that ship is full of humans. The communication channel went quiet. War Commander Thrax was staring at the screen, trying to understand what had just happened. He had expected fear or surrender. Instead, he had found something much more dangerous. He had found humans who were not afraid. As Captain Ji-hoon Kim smiled at the alien commander through the screen, both of them knew that this was not going to end the way the Vorthak Empire had planned. The hunt was about to begin. The Vorthak fleet was huge. 12 massive battleships floated in space like dark metal mountains. Each ship was covered in weapons and looked like it could destroy planets. War Commander Thrax had expected the small human ship to run away or surrender. After seeing all this power, instead something very strange happened. The human ship started playing music. What is that sound? Demanded Sub-Commander Vrex, who was the ship's fighting officer. The bridge speakers made noise with a happy, cheerful melody. That seemed completely wrong for a battle. The human voices sang together about someone named Johnny who had gone down to Georgia to play music. It appears to be some kind of human war song, Thrax replied, but he sounded confused and uncertain. On the human ship, Captain Ji-hoon Kim was humming along to the music while looking at his battle screens. His crew had changed into what they called human mode. This was a way of thinking that made other species very uncomfortable and scared. Minji Patch me through to the Vorthak main ship, Ji-hoon said while still humming. Channel open, sir. She replied. Thrax, you still there? Great. Listen, I wanted to say sorry for being rude before my crew told me that we should introduce ourselves the right way. War Commander Thrax sounded very confused. Introduce yourselves, right? See, when humans go to war, we have traditions. And one of our most important traditions is making sure our enemies know exactly who they are fighting. The music got louder and more exciting. Ji-hoon's voice stayed friendly, but there was something underneath it, now something that made the aliens' mouth parts click nervously. So let me tell you about humans, Thrax. We are the species that looked at the biggest, meanest hunter on our planet and thought, you know what, I bet that would taste good with some salt. We are the species that invented a game where we tie knives to our feet and try to dance on ice without falling. Danyanwu Troy grinned as he turned on the ship's weapons. They were not much compared to the Vorthak fleet, but they did not need to be much. They just needed to be smart. We are the species, Ji-hoon continued, that learned how to make things explode and then thought, but what if we made them explode prettier? So we invented fireworks. We are the species that looked at the huge empty darkness of space and said, I wonder what is out there, and then built rockets to go find out. The music reached its highest point as the human ship began to move. It was not running away, but somehow dancing between the Vorthak ships with impossible grace, but most importantly, Thrax. We are the species that learned the best way to deal with bullies is to make them laugh right before you punch them in the face. What are you? Thrax began, but his question was cut off as the human ship did something that should have been impossible. Soyan Nam made the small human ship suddenly speed up directly at the Vorthak main ship instead of crashing into it. The ship somehow used the bigger ship's gravity to slingshot around it at tremendous speed. As it passed, it dropped a small object that stuck to the Vorthak ship's outside. What was that? Rex demanded. Unknown object attached to hull section 7 reported. The ship's scanner operator. Thrax's eyes got narrow. Destroy it immediately, sir. We cannot fire on our own hull without risking damage to our own ship. The small object exploded, but it was not a weapon. It was much more embarrassing. It was a paint bomb. Bright pink paint splattered across the black metal of the Vorthak main ship, spelling out words in perfect English. Kick me. The human ship's communication channel filled with laughter. Sorry about that, Ji-hoon said, not sounding sorry at all. We call that a prank. It is another human tradition. We like to have fun with our enemies before we get serious war. Commander Thrax was shaking with anger. You dare make a joke of the Vorthak Empire? We are just getting started, Ji-hoon replied happily. Hyunwoo, show them what we have been working on. The weapons officer's grin was like a hunting animal as he turned on a new system. Suddenly, every Vorthak ship in the fleet began getting the same signal, a continuous loop of a human song called Never Gonna Give You Up by someone named Rick Astley. What is this? Thrax demanded as the annoying music filled his ship. We call it recrolling. Ji-hoon explained, it is a classic human prank. The song will keep playing until you surrender or destroy your own communication systems. Either way, win. Alien commander's mouth parts clicked frantically. This is not war. This is psychological warfare. Ji-hoon said helpfully, we invented that too. See, we learned that if you can make your enemies angry enough, they stop thinking clearly, and when they stop thinking clearly, they make mistakes. As if to prove his point, one of the Vorthak ships fired at the human ship out of frustration, but Soyan had already moved them out of the way. The plasma bolt meant for the human ship instead hit another Vorthak ship, damaging its shields. Oops, Ji-hoon said. Looks like you just shot your own guy. War Commander Thrax was getting more and more frustrated. Every time he tried to think of a plan, the humans did something unexpected. The music was driving him crazy, and his own ships were starting to shoot each other by accident. Meanwhile, the human crew was working together like they had done this 1,000 times before. Each person knew exactly what to do, and they were all enjoying themselves. Captain Do-yeon Lee called out, I have been studying their weapon systems. Want to know something funny always? Ji-hoon replied, their plasma cannons are very powerful, but they have a heat problem if they fire more than 6 shots quickly. They have to cool down for 3 minutes. Also, their targeting systems all depend on their main computer. If you can mess with that, the whole fleet goes blind. Ji-hoon finished. Thanks, Do-yeon. That is exactly what I wanted to hear. The human ship continued to dance through the Vorthak formation, somehow avoiding every shot. The aliens were getting more and more frustrated, and their formations were falling apart. This is impossible, one of the Vorthak captains screamed. How can one small ship move like that? TZ Soyan Nam replied, we know math. You guys are thinking like hunters, but space is not a forest. Space has 3 dimensions, and we know how to use all of them. The Vorthak fleet was starting to look less like a mighty armada and more like a bunch of confused animals. The humans had turned their strength against them and made them look foolish, and they were just getting started. Captain Ji-hoon Kim looked at his crew and smiled. They were about to show the galaxy something that would be remembered forever. They were going to prove that humans were not just lucky, they were dangerous. The real battle was about to begin.